Such an unexpected surprise in 2025. So thank you so much, John Geiger, for sending over the 004 Year of the Snake. So let's dive right into the box itself. It is textured, so we have this all over textured, kind of a concrete box. You have Morse code for 4 on the side of the box, and then 0 text. So that is actually John's own proprietary midsole foam that he uses on this specific model and other pairs. Now, each pair does come with a dust bag. It's always the little things that at least I appreciate, and I think this is also nice just based on the price point this shoe is at. Now, we get additional laces, so black and white. The stock laces that come in the sneaker are yellow and black. And then we have some more extra goodies. So this says do not eat, so please do not eat. It is an air freshener. And then we have anti-mold bags to ensure the longevity of your sneaker when stored. For the tissue paper, you have all over printed 004, and then each sneaker will come individually wrapped in its own tissue paper. And holding a 004 in hand for the very first time, and more specifically, this bold colorway blew my mind because it really is unlike most of what we see in the current sneaker market. So again, the 004, let's just go over. You do have a toe cap piece here near the front of the sneaker. Now for the base itself, you have a printed upper, so we see the actual snakeskin pattern. And I'll actually let Cousteau dive a little bit deeper.
04 here on the lateral and medial side near the laces. You have the black stitching, which reminds me of the misplaced checks line of customs that really helped give John notoriety in the sneaker space.
Okay, so again, we have the printed upper for the snakeskin, the actual polyurethane cage on the upper, as Jock said. It does feature 004, specifically JG004, and then the black stitching. You have Geiger on the tongue, and shown here, you can see the 0 text midsole. So this is that popcorn aesthetic midsole, and then tons of traction that goes all the way up the back of the heel, and then that will wrap down and around to the outsole where you see JG printed all throughout the outsole itself. That's a really nice intricate touch and details. And then John Geiger printed in the middle, and you have a white insole with Geiger on the back heel. On foot, let's talk comfort. Very comfortable. I'm talking, at least for me personal, like an 8 out of 10. Now, for sizing, the website states that these sneakers are true to size, and that if you're in between, if you're a half size, go up to that next full size, because he doesn't offer half sizes. Everything will be in whole sizes. For example, 5, 6, 7. He reached out when sending these over and stated he actually, had a 7, no 6s, and that he would recommend, since I am going with more of a 6.5 these days, to go with the 7. And he was spot on. This fits really well. My toes don't feel cramped in any way, and I can't wait to really just test these out again out and about in life. I know they're gonna attract tons of attention just based on the colorway, and I'm more than okay with that. I haven't decided which lace to keep in. I don't know if I want to keep in the yellow and black or swap to the black and white, but I wanted to show you guys a comparison to another sneaker that feels similar on foot, at least for me personally, and that's the Adidas Crazy Infinity. If you guys remember, this is the Twilight pair released by Eric Shake James with Adidas earlier this year, again as part of the Twilight collaboration he did. And on foot, these feel very similar, and again, they have just a foam in the midsole of the Crazy Infinity. Now, if you're looking top down, little bit different in how the silhouettes look, because one is far bulkier, that being the Crazy Infinity, versus the John Geiger 004, but superbly comfortable. The first look, it's almost NBA season, which means time for me to cheer loudly for Steph Curry and my Warriors. So wearing one of the City Edition jerseys from, I believe, maybe 2023. This was a Christmas gift I received 2 years ago. The Warriors jacket, I received this as part of a campaign. And then Jordan brand cargo pants. Now, for the next 3 looks, they're all super similar, so I just threw them all on the screen because they consist of an oversized tee and pants, whether it be distressed denim in black, the Nike Fear of God pants, if you guys remember these pants, love them. And then finally another pair of Jordan brand cargo pants, that with a Supreme shirt in the middle, a Playa Society WNBA shirt, and then on the far left, if you guys remember, heavyweights, this is a heavyweights Kobe shirt. And then for the last fit, I just threw on a light wash denim jacket. But one thing I love with the pants in the middle for the second fit, just how they fall atop of the 004. So none of these looks are dressed up. They're all very casual, very comfortable, very relaxed, and I think that's exactly what this sneaker gives you. Not to mention the colorway is very fun. So tell me your fave. There is no winning in 2025, but at least I have cool sneakers. Listen, sometimes you gotta find the silver lining, because 2025 has taught me a lot. Not really the things that I thought it would teach me, but it's taught me a lot. And I've kind of touched on those things in previous videos, and my decision to maybe pull back on as many sneakers as I was buying, or pull back certainly on the rate at which I was spending $200 on this pair and that pair. For example, women's Jordan Retros, they certainly have climbed up in price to $180, $200, and I really like those pairs. And so yes, I had the ability to buy them and pay that. So I did, and I was willing. And then as I went on and on throughout the year, I realized I wasn't wearing them a whole lot, as I wasn't wearing a lot of my sneakers a lot. And if you've been here for the past year, then you know that I've documented that, and I've donated a ton of pairs, I've given pairs to friends, I've sold pairs. That's simply the stage that I am in myself. So when you guys have seen this review, right, I have a lot of praise for the John Geiger 004 in this specific colorway that he sent over, so that being the year of the snake. But very similar to what Jock said right here.
So this is the John Geiger 004. But before we go any further, I should tell you that John sent me these shoes for free. However, he has no input on this video, and he's not going to see this video before you see it. Okay.
The video I choose to make and the opinions I have are 100% mine, and I have the freedom to say exactly what I think and what I believe. So I think there are really great things where boxes are checked for this shoe. I think there is also something that a red line is drawn through it versus beneath it. So let's just go over really fast the things in which I think it checks the boxes for. So people often want a sneaker that is unique. They don't see everyone in it. I feel like the 004 checks that box. How many 004s, say that really fast a lot of times, do you see? Okay, just out in the wild, or even on social media sometimes. You don't see them as much as we see the sneakers that are on everyone's feed, okay? The hype collaborations, the GRs that everyone is after, the full family size run pairs that everyone wants, especially if they're retros. You don't see this the same way you see those, so I think it will have you stand out in a crowd. I think it might spark conversation if someone sees your shoes, and it's always great when a pair of sneakers can spark conversation. You may find something in common with someone you never would have thought you had in common with them. So I think a lot of us can say like that's a pretty cool aspect of sneaker culture, and you know how we all interact with each other. So again, it is really unique. How many of you say I don't want to wear something that's on everyone's foot, even though like so many people are chasing the same hype releases? But nonetheless, if you don't want something that's on everyone's foot, awesome, great. A lot of people say they want a shoe that has quality, right? Like it looks like the individual actually cared about the shoe. It looks as if quality control was a priority, and it wasn't just something that got put on the back burner. I'm sure, just like you've seen, people have complained about the quality of some of the pairs for the Air Jordan 4, the Undefeated for 2025. We knew that was a possibility because of how many pairs they're putting out. Am I saying it's right? No, I'm not. If you as a consumer have paid your money for something, yes, you paid the money, you still have the right to complain about the actual quality and the execution. I'm not sure where we've like come to in 2025 where consumers shouldn't, you know, have something to say or have constructive feedback or criticism about something they paid their money for and it doesn't live up to that. I'm not sure how we got here, but I'll just say I think you very much so are in the right to complain if you feel like the quality is not up to, you know, what you wanted it to be. I think that's okay. You know what you don't have to complain about, at least when it comes to this pair? That was what I was really impressed with in looking over the shoe when I first got it in hand. The quality is so on point. And I know that's something that John prides himself on. And, you know, again, applause to him for that, because I think you should pride yourself in that. As much as I cannot stand and do not agree with a million different things and aspects related to Kanye West, guess what? when you looked at the actual execution of the Yeezy pairs, okay, Adidas did not falter there. They made sure that those pairs were just well executed, right? The Adidas team, the Yeezy team working together, those pairs came out extremely well. I will say that, okay? I don't have a problem saying that. That is very fair, okay, and just to say. And you were paying a higher premium price. You were paying the 225, the 230, 240, 300 for a Wave Runner. That is more than a 004 because it is priced at 240, and we'll get to that. So you are getting a top quality pair. You're also getting comfort. So how many people will say, I want something that's unique? Not everybody has it. I want something that has really great quality, and I also want something that is comfortable. He's checking the boxes there. But also, there's going to be a box he's not going to check.
While I am a fan of the 004 overall, the pricing does give me a bit of pause. Priced at $250, the shoe definitely reaches into the more expensive range of athletic footwear. At that price point, it makes this shoe more of an intentioned purchase than your normal pair of lifestyle sneakers. In my mind, I would have liked for the shoe to exist in the $150 to $200 range, but I also understand that this is a completely independent project that includes building a custom last and a completely custom design. That definitely pushes the price up more than your normal mass-produced sneaker.
Get where Cousteau is coming at with that perspective, because 240 is still a lot to stomach for individuals. And I know that John has to know there's a certain customer that you are going to kind of alienate. They're not going to gravitate to your shoe just based on the price. But I don't think that that person would have paid $240 anyway for a sneaker, just like here and there. They probably wouldn't have, right? So that person is just kind of off the board. You will then have the people where, again, it's an opportunity cost. Do I value a John Geiger 004 enough to pay the $240? Or do I value a really hyped collaboration, the $230 plus whatever tax and shipping may be, to get an undefeated 4? People will make the decision that is best for them. Doesn't mean that either one is wrong. It also does mean that some people just won't pay the price. It is just too much for them. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's not. So I think that is going to be something that hurts, that pair, because again, it's going to alienate some customers, alienate some consumers, some customers in general. And that happens. Brands have to just understand that based on where they're pricing it, but you're also pricing it where the person that does value it at that price, that's the customer you're trying to target. I know New Balance has to think the same when they put out this 991 V2 made in UK, okay? Because it is not cheap at $275. So when I said that 2025 has taught me a lot, it has, because again, I have said I joked about the whole in this economy in terms of what the undefeated 4 cost. I still stand by the joke being funny, but clearly went over a lot of people's heads, and people were not okay with the fact that I have said if I were going to pay that, it would have to be a different sneaker that I valued enough to spend that money. I'm not sure where in that it also equals to you shouldn't have spent that money and you should never spend $230, $240, $250, $260 on a sneaker, or I guess people maybe assume on anything. I just paid $244 plus tax to be able to get a Samsung S22 just to be able to edit videos on. No, nothing. There's not even service on this phone. I have actual phones that I use. I got that just to be able to edit videos on. I was using an older phone and it was starting to lag and really get on my nerves. I spent $244 on that because I valued that enough to spend my money on that. Again, it's there is no winning. I can put as many disclaimers as I want that these are the decisions that I'm making for myself and they have nothing to do with anyone else. Does not matter. And I keep referencing two things can be true at once because I think that they can, but it kind of feels like it can't, right? I think two things can be true at once, that I have made the decision to not run down and chase as many pairs as I was, and certainly not paying the $200 that I was paying as often as I was paying it. That is a true statement. The other statement is based on the relationships, the time that I've spent in trying to simply put my thoughts and my values and my opinions out there. And there are individuals and brands that happen to think, they happen to like maybe what I say, and they happen to value the opinion that I have and my creativity. And they reach out. Again, relationships have been cultivated. And they're like, hey, I would love to send you X, Y, or Z. And they send it. And the pair happens to be over 220, 240, 260. That can still be true too. And it happens. And I have said, hey, I didn't buy it. So provided it, right? Or I will just simply share friends and family or loved ones, gifted the pair. I never thought that would like cause problems. I just didn't. And I don't know the solution. Like maybe the solution is that like the pairs that I have actually spent money on, I bring here to the channel, and the pairs that happen to be gifted, like they remain on Instagram. That's not necessarily what I want to do, because some of you have been introduced to pairs that were sent over as gifts and you hadn't really thought about, you know, maybe picking them up, or they were now on your radar and you were like, oh, I didn't know that you would actually enjoy it too. Or what are your thoughts on it now that you have it? New Balance 992, the 991 V2, right? Those are pairs in which I didn't have, and they were sent over by friends who were even nice enough to say, we know that you're pulling back on a lot of pairs, so we don't even know. Like, are you okay if we gift you something? They're checking in because they know that like I'm trying to get rid of a lot of things. And I appreciate them doing that. But again, I just never thought that, you know, I guess this would be what it was. So beyond happy to have the shoe. It is so well executed. Bravo to John, and also much respect to him on his brand new, like, first to do it collaboration with the Army. That is, they were letting him integrate just his logo and their logo. And again, respect to him. It's an entire capsule. So I know he's extremely proud of that. I know Pittsburgh is happy and proud of that. And yeah, if you are interested in checking out the 004, of course, go ahead. I'll put the link down there so that you can get it. But you can also just Google his name or look him up on social media to be able to see any and all things that he does. But again, I am very happy to have the shoe, shared my thoughts on it. You guys saw the fits. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And please be sure to check out my recent video, because when it comes to, you know, people being upset about the shipping delays for the Undefeated 4, two things can be true at once. Again, as always, act your age, not your shoe size. Peace.